In this video, I will be ranking every cover legendary that has been released from Generation 2 to Generation 9. Cover legendaries are the Pokémon that are found on the cover of the game and are one of the main draws of a new Pokémon game. Not only are these version exclusive, but they also play a big part in the story and are super strong compared to your average Pokémon. While some Pokémon could be considered cover legendaries or might have the stats of one, they will not be ranked in this list. So base Kyurem and Necrozma as well as Zygarde will not be taken into account. The same goes for DLC legends like Calyrex and Terabagos. Also, while Suicune is technically the cover legendary of Pokemon Crystal, its stats are not on par with all the other cover legendaries and will thus not be included. However, I will be ranking alternate forms of cover legendaries like the Gen 4 Trio and the Gen 8 Duo. The cover legendary will be ranked based on their competitive viability, specifically in Smogon competitive singles, based on the generation they were last available. So VGC performance will not be taken into account at all. We will be starting off with the lowest tiered legendary Pokemon and move our way up. We are starting the list off with what I consider to be D tier cover legendaries. This tier by far has the most amount of entries. These are legendary Pokemon that are basically unviable in the Ubers tier. While some of them might be very good as a standalone Pokemon, we have to look at the bigger picture here, so just keep that in mind. Zamazenta Hero is the worst legendary Pokemon. Its stats are below average and it is completely outclassed by Zamazenta Crown as a Pokemon in the Ubers tier, so that really leaves it with no niche at all and is why nobody uses it. However, it does have a very high speed tier going for it, even under Ubers standards. Dialga Origin is one of the most disappointing alternate forms I've ever seen. It takes 20 points from Dialga's attack and puts those in special defense. While this isn't bad, it does come with the significant downside of being forced to hold the Adamant Crystal. A 30% boost to both of its stat moves isn't that bad, but the thing is, Dialga really relies on an item to do its job. If you want to use a Wallbreaker or a Venge Killer set, it would prefer Choice Specs or Choice Scarf respectively. If you want to use it defensively, it would rather have Leftovers for longevity. The stat buff is not enough to sacrifice the item slot, which is why it's completely outclassed by regular Dialga and not viable at all. Lugia possesses some of the greatest bulk in the entire franchise and has the ability multi-skill to make it even more tankier. Not to mention having reliable recovery and a very good speed tier, allowing it to check several physical attackers. However, that's basically it. Lugia's defensive typing leaves much to be desired as it is weak to some very common attacking types and is way too passive against most Pokemon. Lugia is also dependent on multi-skill to do its job, which makes it very easy to take advantage of if it tries to heal up. Lugia has a small niche on stall teams and even then it does face some competition for Giratina. Solgaleo is a really sad case because it's honestly not that bad, but severely outclassed by Necrozma Duskmane. Duskmane has significantly higher stats, a better ability and move pool. Everything that Solgaleo can do, Duskmane can do it much better. There's really not more to say than that. Zacian Hero is not bad, but just like Zamazenta, it's very little reason to use it over Zacian Ground, which is why it's not used and unviable. Reshiram has an incredible offensive profile which can make it a very dangerous Wallbreaker. However, its typing is very bad defensively and very susceptible to hazards, especially Stealth Rock. While you could use Heavy Duty Boost to circumvent this, you are trading a lot of damage to do so. And unlike other dragon types like Eternatus or Palkia, it does not have a valuable resist to water or a very resist like Ho-Oh. As a Wallbreaker, it also faces competition from Kyurem White, which is stronger and faster. The biggest problem with Reshiram is really the opportunity cost of using it. Kyurem White is one of the strongest special attackers in the Ubers metagame with its massive 170 base spatial attack stat and its 95 base speed, actually getting the jump on a lot of those base 90 speed Pokemon in the Ubers tier. Not to mention this Pokemon having a great offensive profile and really good coverage. However, Kyurem White faces some massive problems. It's very susceptible to hazards, especially Stealth Rock, and its poor defensive typing leaves it forced out by common Pokemon like Necrozma Duskmane and Eternatus and other faster Dragon and Fairy types. Ho-Oh is another prominent Pokemon that can easily switch around Kyurem White. Not only is it tough to get Kyurem White on the field, but there's no guarantee it will actually do something when it finally does hit the field. The opportunity cost is too high compared to other Dragon type Wallbreakers, and thus Kyurem White is a forgotten Pokemon in the Ubers metagame. Dialga has somewhat of a niche in the Ubers metagame thanks to its very unique typing, and it can be a powerful nuke with strong step moves and solid coverage. but it's mostly outclassed by other stronger dragon types too, like Eternatus and Miraidon, while defensively Necrozma Duskmane is the superior steel type. Yoga is also very prediction reliant, making it tough to use. Palkia's kind of in the same boat as Dialga, but it provides more. Palkia has an amazing offensive typing, which also allows it to threaten a lot of walls in the Uber's tier, especially when using the Lustrous Orb. It also has great coverage on top of that, and it can serve as a very solid check to Kyogre, which is the main draw of using this Pokemon over other strong dragon type wall breakers. However, it also faces a lot of competition from other Pokemon and can struggle to find KOs as it is prediction reliant on top of it being hard to use. Palkia Origin is better than regular Palkia only because of the speed increase. Aside from that, it faces the same issues, so that's the only reason I ranked it higher. Nothing to add aside from that. But this Pokemon does close out the list of the D tier Pokemon, aka unviable Pokemon in the Uber's metagame. Moving up to the C tier, this is the tier reserved for Pokemon that have a notable niche in the Uber's metagame, but also notable flaws. Starting off with Giratina. Giratina's bulk and utility gives it a nice niche on stall teams as a physical wall, and a good one at that, as it provides valuable utility too with Will-O-Wisp and Default and can stall out threats with its ability Pressure. While stall teams are not very common, when they are used, Giratina is most definitely a strong pick, giving it a valuable niche in the Uber's metagame, but outside of that it does not do a lot, as it is very passive and weak to common attacking types, so I cannot justify ranking it higher than C tier. Necrozma Duskwings mostly suffers the fate of Solgaleo. It's completely outclassed by Necrozma Duskmane. Not only that, it's also outclassed by Lunala. Necrozma Duskmane just has a way better defensive typing, and Lunala has better coverage offensively and higher speed as well as the better ability. This makes it very tough to justify using Necrozma Talonwings on the team. It does have a small niche as a Trick Room Sweeper over these Pokemon with Meteor Beam to instantly boost its special attack stat. Summons at the ground can be a very dangerous body press plus iron defense wall breaker, and that's really it. It cannot do anything else very good, which means it's completely shut down by any ghost type or fighting resists. This makes it tough to justify a team slot with Pokemon like Arceus Fairy, Ho-Oh and Eternatus running around and many more. However, with this set, it can act as a niche check to physical attackers like Extreme Killer Arceus and Necrozma Duskmane, and it is quite fast compared to a lot of Pokemon in the Uber's tier. Zekrom is a terrifying wall breaker with its Dragon Dance and its strong stem combination. Its respectable special attack even allows for use mixed Dragon Dance sets to take care of physical walls with Draco Meteor. Its ability Terravolt also helps to break through unaware and multi-skill users. Zekrom's biggest problem is the speed creep in the tier. Even at +1 it can be easily revenge skilled by Choice Scarf, Koraidon and Miraidon and speed boost Fluttermane. Zekrom also faces fierce competition from Miraidon as a Dragon Electric type, with Miraidon offering way more and being more versatile as well. Regardless, Zekrom still has a notable role in the Uber's metagame. Lunala is a solid late game sweeper with its powerful Moongeist Beam and great coverage options like Focus Blast and Moonblast to hit dark and normal types. It can boost its special attack with Meteor Beam and Power Herb, which allows to break through Ho-Oh with ease, and with agility it can become tough to outspeed. Setting up with Lunala might seem difficult due to its typing, leaving it very weak to ghost and dark attacks, but Shadow Shield makes up for this, and it does have some nice immunities as well as neutralities. However, Lunala can really only set up this sweep once a match. Groudon is a great physical wall that can soft check most physical attackers thanks to its great physical bulk, while being able to threaten them with a strong Precipice Blades and cripple them with Will-O-Wisp. Its utility does not end there, as it can also put down Spikes or Stealth Rock, which is especially potent with the limited hazard removal in the Uber's metagame. Groudon's ability Drought is also a great support option to decrease the power of incoming water attacks for its team, and it boosts fire attacks as well as helping out Photosynthesis Pokemon. Groudon is however forced out by special wall breakers and lacks reliable recovery, which makes it unreliable long term. Groudon can also go on the offensive route with Sword Stance or Bulk Up and has great coverage to hit ground resists like Stone Edge and Crunch, and can make use of Sun boosted Fire Punch. This is especially potent with Terra Fire to gain a stab boost and an immunity to burn. Groudon's low speed does leave it easily revenge killed though. On top of that, Landorus, Gliscor and Ting-Lu give it some tough competition as a defensive ground type, and offensively it's also easily checked by the aforementioned Gliscor and Landorus, making this Pokemon quite tough to use actually. We're moving up to the B tier. This tier contains Pokemon which have some great qualities and are definitely worth using, but they have more flaws and can be tougher to use than Pokemon ranked in higher tiers. Starting the list off, Graza is a threatening late game sweeper thanks to its high attack stat and the ability to improve its speed. It can go for a Dragon Dance set to boost its speed and attack, or Swords Dance plus extreme speed in combination with Terra Normal. Both options are plenty viable and both strong moves like Dragon Ascent and Earthquake for coverage. Terra Normal extreme speed is also a very powerful form of speed control and is not as easily revenge killed as the Dragon Dance sets. However, it is more Terra reliant, so it's really personal preference. Grace's typing also gives the value resist to water and an immunity to ground moves and sticky web, which gives it some great utility against offensive teams. However, its speed leaves something to be desired, as it is threatened out easily by top threats like Koraidon and Miraidon, and it's not that bulky compared to the other legendary Pokemon. Kyurem Black is at its all-time peak in Gen 9 thanks to many tools it got to become a dangerous wall breaker. Kyurem Black is already super powerful with its massive 170 base attack set, but it also has some very strong moves to back it up. It has Stab, Skill Shot and Icicle Spear, which get incredibly strong with the item loaded dice, boosting those moves to at least 100 base power. It has Dragon Dance to boost its speed and attack even further, and Fusion Bolt is a very powerful coverage option. With Terra Electric this becomes even stronger thanks to the step boost, but Terra Ground is also an option with Terra Blast to more reliably hit steel types. Kyurem Black can however be revenge skilled at +1 just like Zekrom, and its defensive typing can make it tough to set up, especially with it having weakness to hazards. The last Pokemon in B tier is Giratina Origin. Giratina Origin is by far the best and only offensive default user in Gen and Ubers. Its typing and bulk in combination with the ability Levitate also makes it a great Pokemon against top threats like Arceus Normal, Arceus Ground and Kyogre. Gracio's Core also boosts both its Dragon and Ghost stabs, making up for its subpar offensive stats. Aside from default, Giratina Origin has more utility moves like Will-O-Wisp, Thunderwave and Dragon Tail. There's also some set versatility as it can run a physically oriented set with Poltergeist and Shadow Sneak, or a specially oriented set with Hex and Draco Meteor. Terra also really helps out Giratina's typing by giving it a much better defensive typing that can abuse with its bulk. However, Giratina Origin lacks any recovery, making it easy to wear down over the course of a match, and is threatened by top threats like Koraidon, Miraidon and Zacian Ground. Moving on to the A tier, this tier contains Pokemon that are great in the Ubers metagame and have very few flaws. Xerneas is one of the most dangerous sweepers in the Ubers metagame thanks to its signature move Geomancy, which boosts Xerneas' special attack, special defense and speed by 2 stages. The only drawback of this move is the charge turn. This can be patched up with the Power Herb, essentially allowing Xerneas to use Quiver Dance twice in one turn. The Mono Fairy typing makes setting up also very easy. The special attack boost in combination with its ability Fairy Aura, boosting Xerneas' fairy moves by an additional 33%, makes it difficult for most Pokemon to tank a Moonblast. Xerneas also has great coverage like Thunder and Focus Blast to hit fairy resists like Ho-Oh and Equipment Duskmane. Xerneas can also pull off a Choice Scarf set quite well and even hit a defensive set with utility moves like Thunder Wave and Aromatherapy if needed. Xerneas has 2 major flaws though, which are the accuracy of its coverage moves and being very dependent on that Power Herb Geomancy. This Pokemon is still one of the strongest sweepers out there. Historically, Kyogre has been the strongest Pokemon in the Ubers tier for 3 generations and a very strong pick in the generations after. While it is still very threatening in Gen 9, it's not the best anymore, which is why it's ranked A tier. Kyogre's choice specs Rain boosted Water Spout is able to 2-hit KO any Pokemon in the tier with a few exceptions, and it has great coverage options with Ice Beam and 100% accurate Thunders to hit water resists like Dragon, Grass and opposing water types. Calm Mind is also a great move that can turn Kyogre into a dangerous sweeper, and its mono water typing makes setting up quite easy. It also has X Thunder Wave that can work great on cripple switch-ins, allowing Kyogre to break through them and outspeed them. Drizzle is also great to shut down an opposing Koraidon. Kyogre's main problem is its base 90 speed, which leaves it open to many faster threats entering the field after Kyogre gains a KO. It also struggles a bit against common dragon types like Miraidon, Koraidon and Eternatus. Despite that, Kyogre is a scary threat in the Ubers tier. Primal Kyogre is one of the strongest wall breakers of all time thanks to its massive 180 base special attack stat and permanent rain, giving him an additional boost to its water moves. What really differentiates Primal Kyogre of regular Kyogre is not only the increased special attack stat, but also the 150 base attack stat, which allowed to utilize a physical set, with the biggest draw being Earthquake to take out Primal Groudon. It also has massive special bulk to more effectively check special attackers. Other than that, Calm Mind variants are even stronger on this form, and it can shut down any fire type attack as well. Despite being checked by Primal Groudon, one of the most dominant Pokemon in the Uber's metagame, it is a fierce Pokemon in the Uber's tier with the insane base stat total it has. While Zacian Crowned was banned in Gen 8 because of how stupidly broken it was, it isn't as broken in Gen 9 thanks to the nerfs, but it's still very good. Zacian is one of the fastest Pokemon in the tier, only behind Theox's attack. This allows Zacian to easily revenge kill many threats like Koraidon and Miraidon. Interpret Sword also gives their free +1 attack boost the first time it enters the field, making it even more dangerous. And it also has Sword Stance to boost its attack even further. Combine this with 2 powerful step moves and great coverage options, you have a fierce wall breaker. This is not even taking into account Zacian's incredible defensive Fairy Steel typing. This gives it great utility and many switching opportunities, and tough to take down as it does have some good bulk as well. Zacian does have more defensive answers in this generation though, like Skeledirge. The last Pokemon in A tier is Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is one of the best Pokemon in Gen 9 Ubers thanks to its amazing stats, defensive typing and ability Regenerator, healing up 33% of its health simply by switching out. Ho-Oh is able to check threats like Koraidon, E-Killer Arceus and Necrozma Duskmane. Its step moves are also quite difficult to switch into, with Sacred Fire having a 50% burn chance. Thanks to heavy duty boots, Ho-Oh does not have to worry about that glaring Stealth Rock weakness, and it also has Recover for even more recovery. Ho-Oh performs well in almost every battle, but it does have a notable weakness to common wall breakers like Miraidon and Kyogre. Its high usage also means that Pokemon like Zacian, Arceus ground will coverage options just to take it out. Regardless, Ho-Oh is a Pokemon you cannot really go wrong with. We are now moving on to the S tier. This tier includes the top tier legendary Pokemon that perform extremely well in the Ubers tier and are able to fulfill many roles. Yveltal is a very versatile Pokemon capable of acting as a strong wall breaker or defensive utility Pokemon. In Gen 9, it was the most used Pokemon and basically mandatory thanks to how well it checked Calyrex Shadow, and providing key utility with Knockoff, which is boosted by 33% thanks to its ability Dark Aura. It has Taunt, U-Turn and Defog, and it even has Roost to keep itself healthy. Additionally, it can make use of Dark Aura boosted Sucker Punch and Foul Play. Offensively, it can run numerous sets like Choice Band and Choice Scarf, physically oriented or specially oriented sets with Life Orb. Its boosted Dark moves alone make it just very difficult to switch into, but it can make use of Oblivion Wing or Dual Wing Beat as a flying step to heavily damage Dark resists. Necrozma Duskmane is a top tier Pokemon in the Ubers tier. It has amazing stats, great move pool and incredible defensive typing. This allows Necrozma to fulfill many roles in the metagame and perform them very well. Duskmane has a premier check to Zacian Crowned, Eternatus, Deus Attack and some Arceus forms. It has Morning Sun for longevity, which becomes even more potent with Koraidon frequently setting up the sun. It can do all of this while providing utility with Stealth Rock and Knockoff. It also has the ability Prism Armor, making it even tougher to take down. Offensively, it can threaten teams with Dragon Dance and its powerful step moves being Sunsteel Strike and the lesser seen Photon Gazer, as well as coverage like Earthquake and Stone Edge. Dragon Dance sets can be used both defensively and offensively for even more versatility. It can even use Trick Room sets quite well with its low speed and high bulk. The item slot is very flexible too, with options like Life Orb, Weakness Policy, or Occa Berry depending on the set. Necrozma is a pick that can nearly fit on any team because of this versatility and will always perform well. Miraidon is the best and most devastating wall breaker in the Ubers tier, and for good reason. It has an incredible speed stat, strong step combination with powerful step moves and a strong special attack stat that gets boosted by its ability Heteron Engine, which also boosts the power of its electric type attacks by an additional 30%. Teams are quite literally forced to use a ground type and some sort of a dragon resist to have a chance against Miraidon. Miraidon also has many more moves like U-Turn, Taunt, Calm Mind and Agility. These traits make Miraidon a very versatile wall breaker capable of performing numerous roles a team might need. Miraidon can be a choice user with Choice Specs or Choice Scarf, a pivot with heavy duty boots, a sweeper with Life Orb and Double Dance, or Calm Mind wall breaker. This makes Miraidon a very safe and very strong pick for any team. Groudon is on the same level as Miraidon for similar reasons. Groudon is also super fast, has a strong attack stat, it gets boosted by its ability Orichalcum Pulse, which also effectively provides it with a stat boost on fire type attacks. This is backed up by powerful moves like Skill Shot boosted by loaded dice and Low Kick that deals maximum damage to most of the Uber's Pokemon. It has Sword Stance to boost its attack even further, and after one Skill Shot it can allow it to basically end the game right there. That's not all, because just like Miraidon it has U-Turn, which works great on Choice Scarf for Choice Band sets. Groudon is not as versatile as Miraidon, but Skill Shot plus Sword Stance is so strong that even when teams prepare for it heavily, it's still difficult to deal with. It really has no safe checks, which makes it the best Pokemon in Gen 9 Ubers in my opinion, and the Pokemon that is at the top of the S tier. However, there is one Pokemon that is so good it deserves to be above S tier. So we're gonna create S plus tier just for this Pokemon. Primal Groudon is one of the most meta-defining and mandatory Pokemon that has ever existed in the Ubers metagame. I mean, first of all, its stats are through the roof. It's an insanely high attack stat, insane physical bulk, and a very good special attack stat as well as good special bulk. This alone allows Primal Groudon to act as a physical and special wall breaker and physical and special tank. This is further enhanced by its incredible defensive typing, which leaves it with only one weakness to ground. It would have a glaring weakness to water, but thanks to its ability Desolate Land, it gains an immunity to water moves. This trait alone also provides insane utility by being able to check the dangerous Primal Kyogre very well and other water types. Desolate Land also gives Groudon a 50% boost on its fire attacks, which are also boosted by its newly gained fire typing. Groudon also has numerous great moves. Notable offensive options include Step, Precipice Blades, Stone Edge, Fire Punch and Overheat. You also got valuable utility options like Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave, and Roar. Great boosting moves like Sword Stance and Rock Polish. This makes Groudon the most versatile Pokemon in the tier, capable of checking most Pokemon, including some of the tier's most dangerous threats. Despite its forced item slot, which leaves it with no recovery outside of rest, it is still seen on basically any series team, and makes it perhaps the most impactful Pokemon in the Ubers tier. There is still one exception that rises above even Primal Groudon, which is of course Mega Rayquaza. This is one of the most broken Pokemon of all time, being banned from the Ubers tier altogether. Rayquaza has insanely high offensive stats, a great Dragon Flying offensive typing and very strong step moves to back it up, and also perfect coverage, making one of the strongest wall breakers of all time. On top of that, you got boosting options like Dragon Dance and Sword Stance if that wasn't enough, and its ability Delta Stream eliminates all flying type weaknesses, blessing Mega Rayquaza with all benefits of a flying type without the downside. Mega Rayquaza is also the only Mega Pokemon that does not have the significant drawback of having to spend its item slot on a Mega Stone. This means that it can use boosting items like Choice Band or Life Orb in addition to its Mega Evolution. This makes Rayquaza perhaps the strongest wall breaker and sweeper we have ever seen, as it can pull off numerous sets very well that have little to no counterplay. For these reasons, Mega Rayquaza is ranked in the broken tier. These were all the cover legendary Pokemon ranked. Do you agree with these rankings, or would you shuffle some Pokemon around? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking the video and subscribing if you are new. And also, if you got feedback, let me know too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.